Supernatural and The Boys, two of my favourite shows which star none other than Jensen Ackles in two unforgettable roles. In Supernatural's corner we have Dean Winchester, the hunter who spent a lifetime taking down the things that go bump in the night. And over in The Boys' corner we have Soldier Boy, a supe from World War II that was the only individual with the capability to take out Homelander. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and let us find out who wins between these two. Kicking it off with Supernatural side of things. Although Dean may be a human, don't let that fool you. He's about as impressive as a human could be in the Supernatural verse. Although I'll be honest, Supernatural's power system is about as inconsistent as one could be, but I won't let that stop me. In terms of his attack output, well, it varies quite a bit. When we are talking about straight hands, Dean is only about peak human if not enhanced human level. I mean, we have seen him go at it with all types of monsters, from werewolves to vampires to demigods to angels and even demons. He's tough and can even stagger these greater creatures, but he's not throwing building busting punches. Okay, so I'm sure you're already asking, how would he have a chance of standing up to Soldier Boy then? What is the real game changer? And the answer to that is quite simple: his weaponry. The most powerful of his arsenal includes the Colt and the Angel Blade. The Colt is a legendary gun that can kill all but 5 beings within the Supernatural verse, and even then it can still injure a good chunk of them. Just so you know how powerful this weapon is, it managed to one-shot Azazel, a prince of hell who had enough power to passively generate thunderstorms and cyclones with his mere presence. Meanwhile, the Angel Blade has the ability to take out the verse's demons and angels with a single blow. I mean, the blade itself could cut through the character Cain, who is arguably above a majority of the high-tier demons and angels within the verse, and it's important to note that the stronger angels within this verse have the ability to easily obliterate towns. Now, when it comes to durability, Dean's is quite remarkable for a human, particularly when it comes to blunt force trauma, as that far exceeds his resistance to piercing damage. This is evident throughout the series, as Dean has been pierced by bullets, blades and teeth multiple times, and if you've seen the finale, well then yeah, you know how that goes. His ability to endure blunt force trauma is consistently portrayed as impressive. The Winchester brothers, who are comparable in physical ability, have been tossed through wars, tables and just about anything and everything else a dozen times over. If we're willing to stretch this even more, then we can get Dean's durability and endurance to crazy levels. Angels like Castiel are depicted to have the power to destroy towns or create thunderstorms effortlessly. Lesser angels such as Hayel demonstrate feats like carving in the Grand Canyon, and yet Dean has withstood attacks from not only these beings, but even archangels, who are far more powerful. I mean, the Archangel Gabriel could create entire alternate universes, and he wasn't even the strongest of his brothers. Dean has also held his own against demons of varying strength. A weaker demon packs the strength to open a plane door sealed by 2 tons of pressure, yet Dean could survive a flurry of hits from these creatures. Another Prince of Hell known as Alistar managed to overpower Castiel in physical combat, and yet when Dean engaged with him, he still survived a barrage of his attacks. I think one of Dean's most notable durability feats is that he took punches from Chuck, the creator of the verse itself. While Chuck might not have been aiming to end the brothers in a single blow, the sheer cosmic energy behind his strikes was significant enough to be used against him later on. While Dean's piercing durability might be relatively low, his resistance to blunt force attacks is extraordinary, allowing him to endure immense punishment with varying but often survivable levels of injury. Now, Dean's travel speed hasn't been anything to write home about. It's more or less in the peak human limits, but his combat speed is where he truly excels. Again, this is when analysing the power set of Supernatural becomes inconsistent, as Dean's abilities often adapt to the needs of the plot, which we'll get into later. At times, Dean operates at a peak human level, yet in other instances, he demonstrates combat speed that seems to scale far higher, allowing him to keep up or even outmaneuver supernatural entities like angels, demons and leviathans. I mean, he was even able to surprise and defeat death. That is right, he took out the literal Grim Reaper, the same one that thought of the archangels as children. Dean has also been shown surprising leviathans in combat, which are creatures that are physically superior to both angels and demons. Just to get an understanding of how impressive this is, the angels in Supernatural can move at hypersonic speeds, capable of covering entire towns while actively searching for targets. While Dean doesn't directly scale to these speeds, his ability to anticipate, react to and exploit openings against such beings suggests a greater level of combat speed that goes far beyond ordinary human limits. Another aspect where he shines is his combat skill. From a young age, he was trained by his father in various forms of combat, including hand-to-hand fighting, firearm use, and melee weaponry. His training had been honed through decades of combat experience, battling all manner of creatures. Dean's combat adaptability is one of his greatest strengths. he's fought and defeated creatures immune to conventional weaponry by exploiting their specific weakness. But a standout example of his general combat skill was when he and his brother defeated a group of highly trained Secret Service level operatives. This feat underscores Dean's ability to handle not just supernatural threats, but also highly skilled human adversaries. With all this, he was extremely experienced. I mean, I'll just throw some of the other creatures that he fought against throughout the show, and clearly, he fought a whole variety of things. Then we get to his abilities and hacks. And though he doesn't possess any innate abilities, he does have one pretty good hacks. This being his legitimate plot armor. This can include either that given to him by Chuck, or when he received the Luck of Heroes from Fortuna. This hack is just a way to explain how Dean manages to go from fighting humans in one episode all the way up to creatures that consume entire universes in another. Still though, it practically guarantees victory for him in nearly any situation that he finds himself in. Other hacks could include his other versions of himself, such as his Mark of Cain demon form, as well as when he was the vessel for the Archangel Michael. A base understanding for this is that his demon form is many times above normal demons, and his Archangel form would one-shot a majority of his verse, par from the highest tiers. In the other corner, we have Soldier Boy, the second strongest hero currently in the boys' verse, and while superhero might not be the best term to use for him, he's still an iconic soup in his world and packs enough power to stand against almost any threat, including the likes of Homelander. In terms of his attack capabilities, Soldier Boy is certainly above the likes of Dean when it comes to bodily ability. He was shown to easily overcome Black Noir's durability, the same Noir who was able to walk off a war level explosion. In his fight with Homelander, he was able to cave in walls, and arguably his best showing is the fact that he managed to briefly match and bruise Homelander. You can't find many other supes who have the ability to do quite the same thing. Homelander is the same person who's able to tank a multi-city block explosion and not even have a scratch on him. This again gets put into question as Homelander did get injured by Maeve, who previously broke her arm catching a bus. So potato. You could argue that Maeve got significantly stronger from her younger years to now. Soldier Boy also managed to not only fight, but be on the winning side when he fought against Temp v Butcher, the same Butcher who we saw manage to go relative with Homelander, as well as match him in a laser eye clash. He was also stated to have easily thrown a Mercedes-Benz through a house, and I mean look, Dean might be strong, but he's not throwing a car strong. Soldier Boy's most notable weapon was his shield, which managed to block both Butcher's and Homelander's heat vision, and later blocked Butcher's heat vision for a hot second before eventually breaking. It also weighs enough that an average person would be unable to even make it budge. It should be no surprise that Soldier Boy is also highly durable. I might even argue the most durable character within the show. We know that Soldier Boy would be around the same level of durability as Homelander, as the two were able to trade blows against each other, with Soldier Boy not attaining any cuts or bruises. Butcher even noted that it would have required a hydrogen bomb to be able to take out his unexperimented self. Now I do doubt that this would include the absolute strongest bombs available, but a hydrogen bomb is a hydrogen bomb. It was also generally believed that if there were a weapon that could take out Soldier Boy, then would also be able to take out Homelander, again reinforcing that he would be relative to the top of the verse, who is able to shrug off multi-city block explosions. The only thing we did see manage to give him physical injuries was Butcher's heat vision and other high energy attacks. However, he can still get overwhelmed and beaten, as we saw in his first fight with Homelander. And Soldier Boy might not be the A-train of his verse, but still his combat speed is more than impressive. In close combat, speed is what really counts, and Soldier Boy was quick enough to keep up with the likes of Homelander in one-on-one combat, as well as facing Billy Butcher, Kimiko, and Starlight in a gauntlet-like run. The Homelander fight particularly is great for him, as Homelander was shown to be able to move people out of explosions as well as casually fly at Mach speeds. Soldier Boy can also react to sudden attacks and trade blows with supes who themselves have enhanced reflexes. And he was also shown to react to Homelander's and Butcher's heat vision, which while I don't think actually hit light speed, is still more than impressive. This would technically put his combat reactions in the hypersonic range, similar to Dean's. That being said, as the same with Supernatural, not every fight seems to play out at these extreme speeds. Regular humans like Mother's Milk were able to perceive his battles, suggesting that while he fights at superhuman speeds, he's not constantly moving at the supposed scalings, and that would also go for Supernatural. When it comes to combat, Soldier Boy can be considered above the likes of average supes, though it doesn't place him among the most elite fighters. He has taken on entire groups of supes before, but he could rely on his brute strength, durability, and experience to overpower his opponents. While it does mention that Soldier Boy did participate in World War II, it was clarified that his involvement was rather limited, often being placed at the tail end of the conflict. When it comes to abilities and hacks, well, Soldier Boy possesses the ability to manipulate and project radiation through his body, allowing him to release devastating blasts of energy from his upper torso. These blasts are capable of building level to city block levels of destruction, producing massive explosions that can incinerate structures, severely burn opponents, or radiate those within the vicinity. His body, altered through Russian experimentation, functions as a self-sustaining nuclear reactor. While these nuclear attacks require time to charge up, it also drains a significant portion of his energy. Still though, its destructive force is undeniable, arguably making him a portable nuke. Well, if I were to give categories to each, this is how I would put it. Dean would get travel speed, combat speed, agility, stamina, endurance, weaponry, intelligence, battle intelligence, experience, and hacks. Meanwhile, Soldier Boy would get attack potency, strength, piercing durability, abilities, and since I'm not nerding out too much with the power scaling, I think that I'll give the edge to Soldier Boy when it comes to blunt force durability, although I think it's quite close if we use plot armor Dean's higher levels. And to be honest, I don't think this battle is as simple as power scaling, as a result of the nuances within the supernatural verse. There will be 4 rounds, this first round being general feats, general kit, but no plot armor. When we use general feats with not all that much power scaling or plot armor, I think I would give the victory to Soldier Boy. This is because it is more likely that Dean would only have access to his regular firearms rather than access to the true big guns. In this type of battle, Soldier Boy would need to close the distance quickly. Unlike ghosts, werewolves, or any of the bunch, he does not have any distinct weaknesses on hand to use. More than likely, he would ignore the shots that Dean would take. Once closing the distance, he would hit Dean with the men combo. The two would almost go relative for a few moments before Soldier Boy would use his greatest strength to punch him to the ground. If a punch couldn't take Winchester out, then he could either charge his radiation attack or use the pointed end of his shield to end it. Now this second round involves basic scaling and Dean gets access to his hacks and weaponry. So when we want to incorporate some scaling and give Dean a wider range of weaponry as well as his hacks, then I think it sways into the Winchester's favour. This is mainly because of his weaponry and plot armor. I mean, the Colt and Angel Blade would mean that he has access to weaponry meant to kill far greater beings than the likes of Soldier Boy. So in this situation, it would likely begin in a brief fight between the two. Regular firearms would do 0 damage and Dean would get launched away by Soldier Boy. It would be here where he would use the Colt to one-tap Soldier Boy and attain victory. I mean, Soldier Boy would believe he's bulletproof and would likely not even attempt to block the attack. Even if Dean was forced to go into close quarters, he could use his greater combat speed and skill to end the battle with the Angel Blade. Also, Dean is protected by having literal plot armor. There is no way he would not survive the first few attacks and find a way to win. For round 3, I have a fight with prep time. Dean would win this battle with ease, as he could either use Soldier Boy's weakness to certain gases to subdue him, or again, use his supernatural weaponry to one-shot the soup. Meanwhile, Soldier Boy is not even aware of current technology, and his experience is rather limited. I doubt he would be able to effectively prepare for someone who has prep skill on par, if not greater than Batman himself. Now for the last round, I have if we use other versions of Dean. Now if we want to use other versions of Dean such as Demon Dean or Michael Dean, well then yeah, it would not be close at all. Even Demon Dean is superior to Soldier Boy as he is immortal, as well as having strength many times above regular demons. He also holds the first blade, which has the ability to practically take out anything. Not even a radiation beam would keep him down. And Michael Dean would just be a humiliation. He's above the rest of the Archangels, and if you remember, a weaker one of these angels could create alternate universes. A snap of his fingers and the fight would be over. So in this battle, who would be the winner? Well, I think overall that Dean actually has the edge here. He's highly adaptable, experienced, and is just better equipped. The difference is that Dean has fought countless creatures that are seemingly invulnerable and infinitely stronger than himself, yet he always comes out on top, which I mean yeah, is aided by his plot armor. Still, Dean brings a lot of things new to the table, while Soldier Boy only brings invulnerability to earthly weapons. I would give the overall win to Dean Winchester. And now that we've reached the end of the video, let me know if you enjoy this type of fight discussion, which doesn't incorporate mathematical scaling too much and instead uses the overall feeds from the show as a basis. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.